Welcome to COABE Advocast, your go-to guide for becoming a stronger voice for adult education. I'm Erin Fabornik, bringing you quick and practical tips to help you advocate with confidence. Let's get started. Every story has the power to change the way people see adult education, and today's guest knows that firsthand. I'm joined by Shyanne Ross, an adult learner from Arizona who chose to share her story with lawmakers and the public. In our conversation, she opens up about what inspired her to speak out, how she prepared, and what advice she has for others who want to use their voice to advocate for adult education. Let's dive in. Hi, Shyanne. Thank you so much for joining today on the Advocast.
Hi, how are you?
Good. So let's start at the beginning. What made you decide to share your story with a lawmaker or with the public?
I think I really decided to share my story when I went to the student as summer leadership in Dallas. I realized how many different paths of life's adult education helps. And it made me realize that anybody can do anything that they put their mind to. And I met a lot of people that are, immigrants, people with critical health conditions, others with just, bad choices that they made early in their life, but we were kids back then. How did we know? So I think that's when I got really inspired to share my story, because I saw how many people that adult education did help.
I remember so clearly you at that Students as Leaders Summit in Dallas, and I know you made a friend there.
Yes.
Yes, I didn't tell you ahead of time that I was going to ask you about that, but do you want to speak to like that friendship?
Yes. So one day when I was waiting at the hotel for a transport to the conference, I see this girl there, and she's just standing. She's like, "Hi, I'm Ruth." I was like, "Hi, I'm Shyanne." And from that point, we were just stuck at the hip together, and we talk every day, multiple. Like, she's already texted me today, and she's like, "Oh, good luck today." And she started nursing school this week, so I've been motivating her and getting her all excited for that. But yeah, I really love that friendship, and I'm really grateful for that friendship.
I love that. I love those stories that intersect,
Yes,
and now Ruth's story is part of your story and vice versa.
very much so.
And so I know that you got to speak to a senator, like an actual US senator who works in Washington, D.C. And I would love to hear a little bit, because that it was such a powerful connection. And, can you tell us a little bit about how that happened and how you prepared for it and what that experience was like for you?
Yeah. So my college had asked me, because I really like to be involved with the community. I really like to learn people's stories and, advocate for somebody that maybe doesn't have a voice yet. And I really want to motivate people to, whatever barriers you do have, just to push through them and just take it a day at a time. And I did meet Senator Mark Kelly in May, and I was so nervous. I mean, I felt it in my stomach, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, like, what do I do?" But the minute he walked in the room and he shook my hand, and the eye contact, it was like, okay, he's just another person. He's just trying to have a voice for those that really don't, in Washington. And he was so sweet. He's really caring. He loves his people, and he loves learning about what things people do go through. And I know him and his wife have a pretty amazing story, because he was a astronaut, and then his wife was in a terrible tragedy here in Tucson, actually, and he stuck with her by her side the whole time. So I think that made me feel more comfortable, because I was like, he knows what it is to have things that go on in your life, and you just have to push through it. So that was great. And we handed out lunches to kids. And that was one of the things that I talked about as well, is free lunches for kids in low income areas, as well as adult education and what it's done for me. We did discuss SnapCan, which is a program that I do get that helped me with some of my bills when I was going to school to get my GED, which was really challenging because I was blind when I got my GED. So I did everything by audio. So that was, that was intense, but we did it. We're here. So I'm very happy that, I did take that step, even though I did have the condition that I did have, because now I'm going to nursing school. So
that's so wonderful. And now is your eyesight slowly coming back?
Not on my right side. That one's just gone forever, but I do have 95% on the left side, which in Dallas, when I was there, I was seeing pretty much only shadows out of the one eye. So, I did do the summit. I walked into many rooms that I had no business being in, but I was there because I would just go room to room. But I really did learn so much and met so many great people.
I just cannot imagine what taking the GED math portion was like with audio only.
Yes. So I had a reader, recorder, and a scriber. And they would, if it was a grid, they would start at on the left side, the X, there's this. And it was just like in your head, you had to, just imagine it. And sometimes it was just God's good grace that got me through it. The math guys were smiling down on me that day.
Yeah, because you had to like hold that image in your brain while then they asked the question and like gave options, and oh goodness, the amount of focus. So congratulations. That is huge.
Thank you.
And I love that you touched on that piece about Mark Kelly in terms of he's a person, right? I think sometimes going into meetings with people who are in positions of influence, we think like, oh goodness, like why would they, do they really want to hear from me? Like, and yes. I have been so surprised, pleasantly surprised by almost all the meetings that I've had with individuals in those positions where they come in with gratitude that they get to hear from their constituents, people who live in their districts, right? Because, they've got that district pride, right? They want to represent.
Yes.
And while they do have their own opinions, I've found that even when opinions differ, it has been just like a really good experience. And then, yes, you do come away like, oh, that's a person. Like this is their job.
Yes.
They're a person.
Yeah. Mark Kelly, love him now. I'm all about him. But yeah, I definitely do want to, talk to more officials and city officials and senators. And I'd like to even go above that if I can get there. But yeah, I really do love advocating for people.
And I also like that you shared how you felt beforehand, like those nerves.
Yeah.
And normalizing that, because before I really got deep into advocacy, I always thought like, oh, you're either kind of born being that extrovert who can go out and advocate, or you're not. Like I thought the fact that I felt nervous, or I would get those butterflies, or I'd have that moment of panic before I walked in the room was a signal that I was not the right person to be doing it. And I don't think anybody listening has any doubt that you are the right person, right, to be advocating. So thank you for sharing that. And I know there are others listening who might want to share their own stories, but
Yes.
they also feel unsure or nervous about it. What advice would you give to them?
I would start with just speaking to others in your classes and your teachers. One of the things that I did learn getting my GED is that all those people, they really do care. And if there's something that they can do to help you get past, whatever you're going through, or, sometimes you just have a bad day. It happens to everybody. So I would just start with talking to others in your class and go on to the community. I like handing out lunches and stuff at schools. I really do like feeding the homeless, and I really insert myself in my community, and I feel that I learn more about others and their cultures and the way they live and what they've been through, because not everybody has a golden highway that's gonna lead you down all the right paths. I mean, I'm first to say that just doesn't happen. So just really inserting yourself in the community, and I think that's when you learn the most about others, what's going on around you, and then you can advocate because you'll be more educated on things.
Yeah, I love that. And a lot of people might say like, oh, but I should maybe should I just go straight to talking to federal legislators or so it's so important to just start talking to anybody,
Yeah.
advocacy doesn't have to be, calling up the president.
No.
It can be turning around, talking to somebody in line at the grocery store, right? When you're
Yes.
having that good day and you're feeling chatty and you just want to share. Because as you said, as people are sharing their stories with you, you're becoming more empathetic to other experiences. And the same is true when we share that adult education story. A lot of people don't know we exist. They don't know what we do until we share it with them.
Mhm. And I think it's important to, ask those questions, ask those hard questions, because if you don't ever ask, you're never going to know. And I will ask anybody anything. I'm like, so how do you do this? And what's this? I mean, I just, in the grocery stores, like you said, I'm chatty Cathy to everybody. I'm talking to all the old ladies, and I'm I'm making friends, and my family's always like, do you know them? I'm like, no, but they're my
But I
friend.
do now.
Yeah. So, yeah, I ask those questions, and like I said, people do care and people do want to help. And I think for the ones that are trying to better their lives and get their GED and go on to bigger and better things, you have to start somewhere. You have to start with asking those questions. Okay, so how do we do this? um How'd you get here? And I was really close with a lot of my teachers and my tutors. I mean, they still check on me all the time, even though I'm not in adult education. So I really love those connections that I have made through adult education.
And I think that's one of the things as well that people don't really understand about adult education is it's not adults walking into a room, being handed worksheets, working quietly for a few hours and then leaving, right? It
No.
really is about helping to connect adults with the tools needed to follow whatever, right? Maybe not golden highway, but whatever path you
Yeah.
want to take.
Yes, definitely. And then I just think it's adult education has made it important for me. Like I've said earlier, I really do love adult education, and I love what it's given to me. And like you said, the skills that I have now that I didn't have a year ago. And the confidence that I have now. And now when they're like, oh, you need to go take your admissions test, I'm like, I got this, and I went and I took all my admissions tests and I passed them all on the first try. But a year ago, if you would have asked me, oh, go do this, I would have been like, maybe not, because it had been 10 years since I was in high school.
Yeah,
When I went back.
I mean, from the moment we started communicating, I never doubted your ability to get things done when you were like, yes, I want to come to the Students as Leaders Summit in Dallas, and also I'm blind. But don't worry about it. I got it covered. I was like, if you need anything, let me know. You're like, I don't need anything. I'm good. I'll let you know what to do. It's like, she is unstoppable.
Yeah. Very resilient. That's what everybody says about me. They're like, your resilience just shines. And I'm like, well, I had to make a lot of bad choices to make good ones now. So I use that to my benefit, definitely.
And that resiliency, is something that comes through in so many stories from adult learners, that ability to say that decision, whether, or that thing that happened to me does not define me. I am able to continue, and I'm choosing my own path.
Yeah, and I think that last group that we had, that I was the only one from Arizona, so I was hanging out with all the East Coast people because I was the only one from AZ. So I remember sitting there and listening to everybody's story. Everybody go around and tell their story, and it, like, some of them just brought me to tears, and I just was like overwhelmed with joy and just like, wow, like that is insane that they went through this. But look at I remember one girl, she's going to law school and she wants to be an immigration lawyer. And I was just like, and she was an immigrant. And I was just like, wow, like that's what adult education is about. Giving people that confidence that they can go do the extraordinary things. And I love that.
Yeah, that summit really, I think I spent 90% of the time crying.
Yeah.
I was pretty tired by the end of it and you just think like, oh, these stories, so many adult learners have such power. I mean, everybody's story is powerful because it is theirs. It's their story of how they came to adult education, and just stepping in the door and saying, hey, I want to sign up for classes is a huge step.
Yes.
So much comes before that point. And so, though, adult learner stories are hard for people to ignore.
Yeah.
Right? It's hard to ignore those stories. And I just want to thank you for sharing your story, because that is what helps keep these classes available for the next generation of folks who are going to walk in the door and say, I want to get my high school diploma. I'm ready.
Yes, definitely.
So you've already made such an impact by speaking up. So looking ahead, what is next for you as a learner, a leader, or an advocate?
So I do want to go to nursing school. I want to go into anesthesia. So I know it's a long road, but I love learning and I love going to school. And like now it's like, oh my gosh, like I get to go to class and learn new things. And, I'm so excited about my future. And it's all really thanks to adult education for giving me that confidence. And I would love to continue speaking to leaders and talking to anybody that I can about adult education, because I think so many people can learn from adult education, whether it be from the stories or just like you said, showing up and signing up for classes. I mean, it's a huge step, and a lot of people are really nervous to do it, but I think it's going to be all worth it in the end. When you get to go walk, I never got to walk. And this was the first time in my life I had walked, and it was very emotional. Everybody, my family, because it was just, it was beautiful. So I'm excited to go on to nursing school, continue advocating. I'm excited for the next summit. So just all good things.
And at the next summit, doesn't matter what room you end up in, people are going to know you and be like, "Hi, Shyanne."
My goodness, that's crazy to think of.
Well, thank you so much for joining today and for sharing your story of advocacy, because it's so vital to our field that we share and that we speak up. And I would never urge an adult learner who's not ready or feels comfortable or feels safe to share their story. I would never urge that person to do that. But if you do feel, if there are adult learners out there who do feel compelled, or they've been interested in maybe sharing their story, I think hearing from you and your experience is going to be really, really helpful for them to decide whether they want to take that next step. And I would just encourage them to do the COABE ambassador training and become an ambassador like you are, so that you can continue to share.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you so much again, Shyanne. And I know I'll be seeing you very soon.
Yes, you
will. And I hope I wish you the best in all of this local, state, and federal advocacy that you are doing. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Cheyenne's journey shows how one story can open doors, change perceptions, and inspire others to speak up for adult education. Her courage reminds us that advocacy isn't just about facts and numbers, it's about people. Thank you for listening to this episode of the COABE Advocast podcast. I'm Erin Vobornik, and I hope you'll continue to educate and advocate.